Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's working so. I figured it out because I'm so smart.
Yeah, tell niggas you love them. You hear me? Spread the love,
I
man.
don't even need this dang iPad, bro. I'm about to sell this thing. Who want it? Because I'm about to sell this iPad. Guess what? What the fuck is you saying? Thank you for tuning in to Thoughts of an Overthinker, a podcast dedicated to self growth for anyone pursuing a career or passion in the arts. With me, your host, Makai Iman. I am a person of many goals and aspirations. My main focus, however, has been building my acting career. After graduating NYU, I found that I was missing a very important piece: my community. Through sharing my personal experiences, each episode will aim to shed some light for others that can relate to the sometimes uncanny overthinking and anxieties while pursuing a career in the arts. I will be sharing personal advice, but please know that I am on this journey with you as well, learning as we go. See you in the episode, and remember to show some love. Your host, Makai Iman. Let's get into the episode. But before we get into the episode, we do have to do our word of the day. So before we get into this episode, you may already know, or if you don't, I have a segment called Word of the Day. This is where I like to choose or pick a word randomly from my Word of the Day app and try to use that word somewhere throughout the episode at least one time, okay? I don't know how I've been doing so far. I feel like I've been using these words incorrectly. The word of the day is leavener. Leavener. The words of the day is leavener. Leavener, a substance used in dough or batter to make it rise, such as yeast or baking powder. Whisking will evenly distribute the leavener and salt in the dough. I'm thumbsing this down because why did they give me this word? Oh my gosh. How am I supposed to use leavener? I'm not talking about bacon. I want to do something a little different because I feel like the couple episodes before I've been talking about my personal feelings and, not really giving any useful advice, and partly because I just don't have any advice for that yet because I'm going through it. I'm actively going through it and I'm trying to figure it out on my own. But something that I do think I can give advice on is doing things while you're scared. So, Makai, what exactly do you mean by doing it scared? Okay, so first off, starting new projects, new passions, new hobbies, something that's just not a part of your daily routine, it can be hard. That may be the hardest part, honestly, like getting up and actually doing it. The first step is recognizing that you are the problem. I just listen, you are the problem. And I know for a lot of people, including myself, I had to realize like I was holding myself back because like episode 1, 2, 3, whatever, I can't remember which episode specifically, but I spoke about how a lot of times having a set vision of something can make you procrastinate. And that kind of ties into this episode as well, because for me, I didn't realize it was me that was holding myself back because I'm like, well, I just don't have the tools to start. I don't have the tools to like make it look like how I want it to look, and so therefore I can't start because I don't have it yet. But in actuality, it's like, well, if you were to just you know quick thought, maybe, just maybe, if you were to let go of that vision that you have like such a tight grip on, maybe, see, the lighting is changing. I'm not dumb. I'm not bugging, bro. Once you understand that it's you, only you, that's stopping you from starting whatever it is, then you need to ask yourself why. And a lot of the time, it is anxiety. It's fear of the unknown. I also want to set a disclaimer. No one is discrediting your fear. At least I'm not. I recognize that these fears that we have as artists, as creatives, are very real. They're very daunting. We need to challenge those thoughts. What would happen if you just started anyway? We don't realize it, but we are able to be happy and still get work done. We are able to be sad and still get work done. And I'm not talking about depression, but I'm talking about just, sadness, or being sad, being down, upset, angry. Like, we are able to feel these emotions and still get stuff done, whether it be go to work, whether it be da 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 da. And it's because priority. We prioritize these things over our feelings, how we're currently feeling at the moment, right? So naturally, if this is something that you really want to do, why don't you prioritize yourself? You need to prioritize yourself and choose you. I'm sick and tired of this. And yes, I know it's easier said than done, but this episode, hopefully I can, reach somebody and kind of encourage you to go for it. If we're afraid, we can still get the work done. We can still do it. It may not look like how we envision in our heads, because usually we don't really envision ourselves to be scared while doing the thing. So it may look different. But once you let go of that idea that you have in your head of what it looks like, then you're going to be free to actually explore where it can go, how it can look. Performers understand this concept, or know where I'm going with this, because as a performer, you have to get on the stage, and most times we are nervous as heck. You know what I mean? Like, you are petrified, especially if it's like your first show or something. Like, you are so nervous that all the thoughts are running through your head, like what could happen, what could go wrong. But we do it anyway. Why? Because priority takes over. The thing, our desire, our will to do this thing, to create this thing, takes over. We want to overcome this fear, and we're going to every time. Every time I have an audition, in-person audition, I'm like super scared, super nervous. It's gonna be a little messy and uncomfortable. Okay, yes. So you're afraid that it's not gonna go well, that it's going to be embarrassing, or that it's going to fail. But what if you did it anyway? What if you allowed that fear to exist while you did it? That's courage. And it takes courage to do the things that you want to do in life. It takes courage to choose yourself over your fears. Every single time, it takes courage. I'm not even going to sit here and be like, well, what could possibly go wrong? Because as an expert overthinker, as someone who knows, who has anxiety, who knows, we think about all the possibilities. So I already know that you already know what could possibly go wrong. You thought it out a numerous number of times, and I know this to be true. So what I will say is to start small. First, let's shut out the noise. You're watching me now, and I don't even have like a huge following. I don't have everything together. I'm just doing something. Like, I'm just doing whatever the heck. And when I first started content creation, like before the podcast, before any of this, like before when I first started content creating, I was so scared. And I was mostly scared of people who do know me, like actually know me outside of this, and seeing me on TikTok, on YouTube, trying to hop on. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be something. Trying to be something, trying to do something. Like, it's embarrassing, it is. But this isn't about them. I had to realize that they are not my target audience. They're not the people that I'm trying to connect with or, relate to. Those are not the people, or at least not all of them. Some of them are creatives, and part of that community, as like part of my community, but not all of them are. All of my friends are not actors, they're not creators, so those that are not, I get a little embarrassed because they may not get it, or they may not know what I'm trying to do, and they may not see the vision, but that's okay because it's not for them to see. If they choose to stay and support me, then those are the people that I want to have around me. Those are the people that I feel comfortable enough to share my goals and my ideas with. What has been helpful for me thus far is shutting out the noise and focusing on being myself. But Makai, how do I shut out the noise? How do I be myself to its full capacity? What is shutting out the noise? Where does it come from? What is the noise, and where does it come from, and how do we shut it out? You know the saying that we are our worst critic? Well, it is very true. And a lot of the noise actually comes from within us. These thoughts turn into actual fears. And now we're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to embarrass myself, or I don't want people to judge me. What if they don't get it? What if they're not interested in watching me? Like that sort of thing. If you get anything from this video, it's this podcast, this episode, challenge those thoughts. People love to project their own limitations onto you. If they see you doing something that they know themselves they could never see themselves doing, trying, executing, of course they're going to have nothing but negativity to come your way because they couldn't see themselves doing that. That's something that they would never even have thought about doing because that's not something that's within them. So if they don't see your vision, if they don't believe in you, they most likely don't believe in themselves to be able to do the thing that you're trying to do. At least that's what we're going to tell ourselves, because the same way we tell ourselves that these fears are real, we have to convince ourselves that it's not us, it's them. Period. That's what we got. Delusional. We do have to convince ourselves, retrain our thoughts to think like, you know, what I'm doing matters. I'm going to find my community. I'm going to find who I relate to, and everything will be fine. Duh. Make content for you, right? I know a lot of times we get focused on making content for a specific target audience, or like, you know, trying to find our people, or like think, okay, what would grab someone's attention, and getting really boggled down by all these little steps. And those steps are great maybe if you already had like a brand idea, you already knew where you want to be, what you want to do. But if you're like just starting out and you're just trying to start content creation, or it doesn't even have to be content creation, but I mean like if you're a creative, if you want to film a video, if you want to start singing songs, writing songs, if you want to, you know, if you want to do anything that's, you know, creative, and this, it doesn't have to be about creatives, obviously, but this is what the podcast is like. We're talking about creatives. But if that's what you want to do, I say to focus on making the work that you love. And that's something that I've been not struggling with, but I've been trying to remind myself, like, hey, like, make sure that whatever you do, you're proud of, you love the work, you know, like you are excited to do that type of work. You know, don't do it for anybody else but yourself. It isn't an easy commitment. Like, you definitely have to have your heart in it. It doesn't have to be like, it could be a hobby if you want it to be, but it also needs to be like, you know, even if you have a hobby, you enjoy doing that hobby. You know what I mean? Like, don't force yourself to do something that you're not naturally drawn to, because then your heart's not going to be in it, and it's going to be harder for you to stay committed to the things and actually find ways to motivate yourself, encourage yourself to keep going. I have like 3 minutes left. 1 second. Let me just delete some stuff off of my memory card. We're almost done, guys. I promise. I haven't used this word leavener, a substance used in dough or batter to make it rise. I don't know. Like, can I use it as a metaphor? Like, in a metaphor? Like, back to what I was talking about, right? But, Makai, what if it's real people in my life that are just unsupportive, and that's really where the fear comes from, because I've only heard negative feedback thus far? Well, first of all, tell them to shut the like, honestly, like, what are we talking about, right? It's simple. I had to develop some tough skin, and I'm not the toughest person in the world. Like, I still have feelings and stuff, but, you know, I had to kind of manipulate myself and develop this tough skin, because at the end of the day, I realized that no one is gonna go harder for me than me. I have to be my biggest supporter, no matter who it is. I have to know that not everyone is going to understand what I want to do, what I'm trying to do. Not everyone's going to see the vision. Not everyone's going to watch it. Not everyone's going to love it, like it, comment, share it. Not everyone's going to do that. You know, even your closest friends, your family members, they may not do it. You don't have to be combative in that way. But practicing arguing for yourself, standing up for yourself, will help you build that confidence that you will need, that thick skin, when you have to then sell yourself, you know, like at some point. And I don't mean sell yourself as in like, you know what I mean, like sell So like if someone asks you like, so what do you do, or and you say, for example, I have this podcast, so they're like, oh, you have a podcast, what's that what's the podcast about, like da da da. And so I know that I'm going to stand tall and speak to them with a sense of confidence, because this is what I have, this is what I love to do, this is what I'm doing, or whatever the case may be. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to speak from a place of, I know my worth. I know what this is worth. I know I'm committed to this thing and I believe in this thing. Someone sees you trying to build, create something, and they want to bring you down. That should anger you. You know what I mean? Like, that should make you upset. That should light a fire under you to be like, excuse me, like, who do you think you're talking to? First of all, I don't need that negativity. I didn't ask for that negativity. And frankly, I don't care. So you could take that opinion and do something with it, because I don't need it over here. You know what I mean? And I do believe in reciprocity. So if I'm not giving that type of energy to you, then why the hell are you giving me that type of energy? You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of energy that I have developed. It's just kind of like, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're not doing that. You don't have to watch me. You don't have to like it. You don't have to relate or understand it or believe in it. But you also don't have to bring me down and try to slow my process down. You know, like that. Just get out of my way. That's all I got. You know what I mean? Get out of my way. And I also want to add that this is why I try to be careful when it comes to who I decide to ask advice from. Not all advice is useful advice. Okay? I'm going to say that again. Not all advice is useful advice. There's a difference between constructive criticism and just criticism. Like, just picking you apart. And it's like, well, let me see you do it since it's so easy and you have all the answers. But they don't. They never do. How do I bring myself into it, incorporate myself into this project? And I thought about this for a while, because I think that being myself has become second nature almost. Like, I just kind of do it. Like, I know who I am, or I know who I am now, you know, so it just kind of, or I'm learning. I don't know. Hell, I think I know who I am. Being yourself has more to do with learning about yourself. I think in order to get comfortable with being yourself in its full capacity is understanding that you are forever growing and developing, and allowing yourself to just go through those uncomfortable stages is very helpful, because then it's like for example, I know that I'm a nervous, like, you know, I'm a bundle of nerves. I have anxiety. I know that I overthink. I know that, like, my personality is a little quirky. Like, you know, like, I know these things about myself, but instead of trying to hide them, I just embrace it. It's not worth it trying to hide it and trying to, like, uphold this image of yourself that isn't true to who you are. So if you welcome yourself to be who you are now, then you're already on the right path. I hope that this was encouraging. I did not use the word leavener because I don't know how to use that word in this episode. Let me see if I could try. I think I got it. Instead of being an obstacle in our way, we need to act like an... Let me start over. Instead of being an obstacle in our own way, we need to learn how to act like a leavener that will help us rise to the occasion, encourage us to keep going and to just start the projects, build the whatever, the films, the whatever, all the projects, and just start. Do it while you're scared. Hopefully that was good. I don't know. I tried to turn it into a metaphor, or a simile, because that's technically a simile, right? Thank you for listening. This has been Thoughts of an Overthinker with your host, Makai Iman. Remember to show some love, like, comment, subscribe, all that, and I'll see y'all in episode 7. Right? This is episode 7? Or no, this is episode 7. How many episodes I got? This is episode 6. Okay, this is episode 7. So I'll see y'all in episode 8.